Hello and welcome to Unusual Cryptids, or should I say the unusual suspects. Gnomes. Many people around the world have the lovable garden gnomes adorning their front lawns, but outside of this, these beings are found throughout Europe. Originally, these creatures were written about by the Swiss alchemist named Paracelsus as far back as the 16th century. Many people view them as folktale, but videos have surfaced from areas such as Argentina, Mexico, United States, and other locations that seem to tell a different story. As with these videos on the internet, they need to be taken with a grain of salt, but I suppose anything is possible. Partridge Creek Beast. Okay, here's an odd one that I'm sure you will enjoy. In 1903, two men named James Lewis Butler and Tom Leemore were hunting moose in the marshes near Clear Creek found in the Yukon. While watching three moose, one of the creatures suddenly raised its head and took off in fright, and the other two did as well. The two men were confused by this and quickly went to where the herd had been, only to see something terrifying. The men saw huge tracks in the snow that were 2.5 feet wide and 5 feet long, with claw indents that were 1 foot long. A 30-foot long belly track was found, as well as a tail drag print that was 16 inches across from its center. The men followed the tracks to a deep gulch known as Partridge Creek, where the prints mysteriously disappeared. The hunters soon met up with a French-Canadian Jesuit priest named Pierre Laveneau, who after hearing the story was quite skeptical. Eventually the three, along with a group of Native Americans, searched for the creature, but came up empty-handed until they made camp for the night and heard a blood-curdling roar. It was at this point that they saw the creature climbing the ravine's cliffs. They described it as a Ceratosaurus that was 50 feet long, completely black, with a horn on its nose like a rhinoceros and thick bristles like a boar. The creature disappeared into the ravine not long after. In 1907, Father Laveneau reported seeing the creature again on Christmas Day when he saw it running over an ice floe with a caribou in its mouth. This story raises a lot of questions as to its validity, but one thing does seem very odd with the story. The report that the creature had fur on it correlates with one of the more recent theories that dinosaurs actually had feathers rather than the idea that they were smooth-skinned. Fresno Walkers. Many of you are familiar with this video, which was first reported in the 1990s by a resident in Fresno, California. Apparently these creatures, now known as night crawlers— nope, not that one. There we go. Were caught in a security camera walking through the front yard of the resident's property. Since then, a separate video was caught in March of 2011 in Yosemite National Park that seems to show the same thing. Since that time, many have claimed that Native Americans have stories telling of interdimensional beings that fit these creatures' description, but I have been unable to find anything about that. These videos garnered the attention of TV show Fact or Fate, to which they were unable to find evidence disproving its authenticity. While researching this topic, I came across a YouTube channel that does a pretty good job debunking the video, and I will provide a link in the description. Many of you may be shocked that I would support a skeptic, but I feel he makes good points, but even as such, that doesn't rule out the possibility of these things actually existing. Devon Demon. On the night of February 8th to the 9th in 1855, the residents of East and South Devon, England, awoke to find strange footprints in the snow. These prints were bipedal and looked like hooves, leaving many to fear that Satan himself was walking around. What made it particularly strange was that the prints went for 40 to 100 miles, and all obstacles such as walls, haystacks, rivers, and houses were walked right over. There were even reports of the prints going up walls and on the roofs of houses. If that wasn't enough, some of the prints led up to and came out of drain pipes as small as 4 inches in diameter. Later reports stated that the prints were found in other towns as well that were several miles apart. Recently, there have been reports of the same type of prints found in Wolseley, which is in North Devon, but as of yet, there have been no concrete explanations. Of course, a full zoo of creatures has been blamed, as well as the idea of it being a rogue balloon. But since no one has seen what caused this phenomenon, its identity remains a mystery. Perhaps the Krampus frequently makes late rounds in Devon. Beckenham Gargoyle. Gargoyles are frequently seen as part of the structures of buildings in order to look beautiful, but namely their purpose is as a water spout so rainwater doesn't ruin the masonry as it runs down. According to some legends, these stone effigies were constructed to guard over the building they were put on, or to scare away evil spirits. Interestingly, these rain spout types were very rarely put on the structure due to people being frightened by them, or even worse, many had a habit of falling off to the streets below. In 1724, the London Building Act made it a law that all rain gutters needed to use downpipes rather than the statues. After that little history lesson, it brings us to a video that, once again, was made famous via the good folks at Fact or Fate. With very little context, it seems one of the gargoyles previously spoken about was unhappy with sitting about on a building and spitting water at people. In this video shot in Beckenham, England, a strange creature is seen jumping off of a playground castle found in the park. As I stated before, not much is known about this being or who shot the footage, but it certainly looks odd. While I immediately think it looks like it possibly could be CGI, another part reminds me of my recent What Evidence Does It Take video, where just because it looks too good doesn't mean that it isn't real. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.